My parents kicked me out on Easter with nothing. You can't do anything on your own, they said. With nowhere to go, I went to the bank and used the old card my grandma left me. The manager checked the account, went pale, and whispered, "Ma'am, please sit down." I honestly thought he meant security. My name is Aria. I'm 29, born and raised in the Santa Fe suburbs, still living close enough that my family can reach me whenever they decide I'm useful. From the street, my parents' house looks peaceful. White stucco, neat cactus beds, wind chimes that sound gentle even when the air isn't. Inside, peace has always meant obedience. Normal in our family is simple. My mother performs warmth, my father controls with silence, and my younger brother Noah gets forgiven before he asks. Noah has spent years starting over, auto detailing, mobile repairs, now a real shop. Every failure becomes a tragedy the world did to him, and every rescue becomes my responsibility because I'm the one with good credit and a stable job. I used to call it love. It was training. Easter dinner was supposed to be harmless. Ham, dyed eggs, forced smiles. Then my father tapped his knife on the plate, one small sound that made the room obey. "Your brother needs you to step up," he said. My mother didn't even let Noah speak. "He found a garage. He needs equipment. The bank won't approve him." I felt the air change. So you take the loan in your name," my father said, like he was asking me to pass the salt. Noah finally looked at me, grinned tight. "You sign, I pay, easy." "No," I said. My mother blinked, offended by the concept. "Aria, don't be selfish." "I'm not taking debt for Noah," I said. "Not again." My father's voice cooled. "Watch your tone." Noah's grin turned sharp. "You act like you're better than me." "I act like I don't want collectors calling me at work," I said, "because last time they did." My mother's smile disappeared. "It's Easter. Don't make this ugly." "You're the one making it ugly," I said, and I hated that my hands were shaking. My father stood. Calm. Final. "If you won't support this family, you can leave." I waited for the bluff to end. It didn't. My mother walked out and came back with a black trash bag and shoved it into my arms. "Take your things," she said. Inside wasn't my clothing or documents. It was literal garbage, flyers, broken plastic, an old cracked mug. A message you could smell. My father pointed at the door. "Go." Noah smirked. "On your own, right?" My mother delivered her line like a verdict. "You can't do anything on your own." I walked out holding their trash. I didn't cry until the car door closed. My mother texted first, "Come back and apologize. Your father is hurt." Then my father, "If you walk away tonight, don't expect help later." Then Noah, as if he were the victim, "I thought you loved me." They didn't ask where I was going to sleep. They didn't ask if I had gas money. They only cared about the leverage slipping out of their hands. By midnight, I was parked under a streetlight near a grocery store, curled into my back seat because every hotel was full and my account showed $194. Easter weekend. Families everywhere. No vacancy for the daughter who refused to be a credit card with legs. I drove to 3 motels anyway, because denial is stubborn. The first clerk glanced at the lobby full of kids in Easter outfits and said, "Honey, we've been booked for weeks." The second place quoted a price that would have eaten my entire balance in one night. At the third, a man behind bulletproof glass laughed like I'd told a joke. I bought a gas station sandwich I didn't taste and sat in my car with the trash bag on the passenger seat like a chaperone. I tried calling friends. One didn't answer. Another answered and sounded careful, like my life was a spill she didn't want on her carpet. After that, I stopped. In the dark, hunting for warmth, my fingers found something cold in my jacket pocket. Metal. Heavy. A black card. Worn edges. Red Mesa Private Trust etched into it. My grandma Elena had given it to me when I was 8, in her backyard, lilacs in the air, her voice quiet. "Use this only if you ever find yourself completely alone," she'd said. I'd laughed back then. She hadn't. "Don't show your mother or father," she'd added. "And not Noah. This is a door." At dawn, my spine aching, I drove to the address engraved on the card. The bank sat downtown like an old courthouse. Columns, stone, no ads. Inside, the lobby was warm enough to feel insulting. People sat in leather chairs like they belonged there. I looked like I'd been folded and left out overnight, because I had. The receptionist took the card and her smile thinned. Not judgment. Recognition. "I'll get someone," she said, and disappeared. When Daniel appeared, he didn't smile the way people smile at customers. He moved like someone who'd just heard a familiar name in a place it shouldn't be. "Aria?" he asked. "Yes," I managed. "Please," he said, and led me to his office. He typed the number into his system. His face shifted from neutral to tense to something like shock. Then he looked up and whispered, "Ma'am, please sit down." "I am sitting," I said, too fast. "Stay seated," he corrected. His hand hovered over the keyboard as if speed could break something. "That card isn't debit," he said carefully. "It's access." "Access to what?" I asked. Daniel swallowed. "A restricted file." My stomach tightened. I almost said money. I almost said inheritance, because that's what stories like mine are supposed to turn into. Daniel shook his head like he'd heard that assumption before. "Your grandmother didn't keep wealth here," he said. "Not the way you're thinking. She kept a record." "A record of what?" Daniel clicked once, then stopped. His voice dropped. "I'm required to ask you something before I go further," he said. I braced. "Okay. Are you here alone?" "Yes." "Was anyone with you when you decided to use the card?" he asked. "No. Why?" Daniel exhaled through his nose. "Because your grandmother wrote it that way." He opened a document labeled Trigger Conditions. The language was clinical, cold, almost kind in its precision. Card must be presented physically by beneficiary. Beneficiary must be alone. Activation must occur after family severance of support. My throat went dry. "She expected this?" Daniel didn't answer. He slid a thin folder toward me instead. Inside was a notarized note in my grandma's handwriting, the ink faint but steady. "Some families don't lose daughters. They misplace them until they're needed. If Arya arrives here, it means the misplacing is complete. Open the door." My fingers pressed into the paper like touch could pull her back into the room. "What is this?" I whispered. Daniel's eyes flicked to the office door, then back to me. "It's evidence," he said. The word landed heavier than any dollar amount ever could. "Evidence of what?" Daniel's mouth tightened. "Fraud, identity abuse, loan laundering, a scheme that runs through private trusts because they look respectable from the outside." I stared at him. "My grandma was involved?" "She wasn't involved," Daniel corrected. "She was documenting." He clicked again and the screen populated with dated entries, scanned documents, recorded meeting notes. Not a portfolio, not deeds, not properties, a timeline, names, account numbers, loan applications, and in the center of it all, a repeated phrase stamped across pages like a warning. "Borrower of record, borrower of record, borrower of record." Daniel scrolled, and my breath snagged when I saw it. "Arla Morales, borrower of record." My vision narrowed. That's me." "Yes," Daniel said softly. "That's why I asked you to sit down." My hands went numb. "I never took a loan." "I know," he said. "But someone did. Using you." He turned the screen slightly toward me. The number attached to my name didn't look like a bank balance. It looked like a wound. $381,420. Active liability. Originating lender, Mesa West Equipment Finance. Status, escalated. I swallowed hard. "So, my grandma left me a door," Daniel finished. "To the truth." My phone buzzed on the desk like it was mocking me. "Mom, Dad, Noah." I didn't pick up. Daniel watched the screen light up. "They're calling because they need something," he said, not as a question. I swallowed. "They always do." He nodded once. Then we moved fast. He stood, opened a locked drawer, and pulled out a slim envelope. "I'm going to be very blunt," he said. "If your family pushed you toward a loan last night, and your name is already tied to one, this isn't just manipulation. This is attempted cover-up. Cover-up." The word made my stomach lurch. Daniel tapped the screen where the dates were listed. "This file shows attempts to refinance the liability, repackage it, make it look legitimate. That requires one thing." He looked at me. "Your signature." My skin went cold. Noah's voicemail from earlier played in my head like a slap. "The loan appointment is today. Stop being dramatic and show up. Not because he needed equipment, because he needed me to sign away a crime." Daniel reached for his office phone. "I'm calling our compliance counsel," he said, "and I'm requesting an immediate fraud hold on any new credit instruments tied to your identity." I blinked. "Can you do that?" "Yes," he said, "but it will escalate, and I need to tell you something else before it does." My throat tightened. "What?" Daniel clicked into another tab. "Your grandmother didn't just document the scheme," he said. "She documented who benefited." A list opened. Companies, shell names, addresses that looked like nothing. Then a familiar one. Noah's Auto and Detail. DBA pending. My chest tightened. Daniel didn't look surprised at my reaction. He looked grim. "Your brother's business appears in the file," he said. "Not as a victim, as a receiver." I felt something inside me go very still. All those years. All those fresh starts. All those rescues. All those times I was told I was selfish if I didn't help. They weren't building his life. They were laundering his failures through mine. Daniel's phone rang. He listened, nodded twice, then muted the call and looked at me. "Compliance is bringing our fraud attorney up now," he said. "And Arya, if what I think is happening, you need to decide something." My throat felt too small for my voice. "Decide what?" "Whether you're going to protect them," he said, "or protect yourself." The fraud attorney arrived like a storm in a blazer, efficient, calm, zero softness. Her name was Marin. She didn't ask how I felt. She asked for facts, dates, messages, any past loans, any time my family had access to my documents. I pulled up screenshots with shaking fingers. Noah's, "Just sign, I'll handle it." My mother's, "Family comes first." My father's, "Don't embarrass us." Marin's eyes didn't widen. She'd seen this pattern. "They're not asking," she said. "They're conditioning." She made calls while I sat there listening to the quiet efficiency of people who don't argue with manipulators. They document them. Credit bureaus, fraud alerts. A freeze that turned my social security number from a tool into a locked safe. Then she drafted a notice that read like ice. Any attempt to use Arya Morales' identity for financing will be treated as fraud and reported to appropriate authorities. I stared at the line. Appropriate authorities. I heard my mother's voice in my head. "Don't do this in public." I didn't realize how much I'd been trained to confuse privacy with obedience. The real karma moment came faster than I expected. Around noon, Daniel stepped out of his office, phone to his ear, face tight. He returned and said, "They're here." "Who?" I asked, even though my stomach already knew. "Your mother and your brother." My blood turned cold. "Here? At the bank?" Daniel nodded. "They're at the front desk. They're demanding to speak to you. They're claiming you're confused." Marin's pen paused midair. "They moved quickly," she said. "Would you like to stay in here?" Daniel asked. I stood up. My knees were weak, but my mind was clear in a way it hadn't been all night. "No," I said. "I want to hear them try." We walked down the hallway together. My mother's voice cut through the lobby like she'd brought her own weather. "This is ridiculous," she snapped. "My daughter doesn't have the capacity to handle finances. She's emotional. We need to secure her accounts before she ruins her life." Noah stood beside her, arms folded, performing righteous patience. When he saw me, his face lit with relief, as if I'd arrived to be fixed. "Arya," my mother said, tone turning sweet in a blink. "There you are. Come on, honey, let's go home and talk." I looked at her. "You kicked me out." My mother's smile twitched. "We had a disagreement. You handed me trash," I said. "On Easter." Noah scoffed. "Stop exaggerating." Marin stepped forward, calm as a blade. "Ma'am, your daughter is represented in a fraud matter. Any attempt to pressure her regarding financial instruments will be documented." My mother's eyes flashed. "I'm her mother." Marin didn't blink. "That's not a legal credential." Noah's jaw tightened. "This is insane," he said, voice rising. "She's blowing this up because she can't handle being told no." I stared at him. "You already used my name," I said quietly. His face flickered, just a flicker, but it was enough. My mother stepped closer, lowering her voice. "Arya, don't do this in public." I almost smiled. "You did." Noah leaned in, teeth clenched. "We had an appointment," he hissed. "You were supposed to show up." "An appointment to fix your mess," I said. "With my identity." My mother's voice rose, sharp and familiar. "You can't do anything on your own." I lifted the black card slightly. "I already did," I said. "I came here alone." Daniel signaled security with a small motion that didn't feel dramatic. It felt inevitable. My mother argued. Noah tried to speak over her. Their voices bounced off marble and glass and strangers' stares. Then they were escorted out, polite, firm, witnessed. My mother looked back once, eyes burning, as if she could still curse me into obedience. Noah didn't look back at all. He looked cornered. After they left, my phone lit up like a siren. "Mom, call me right now." "Dad, don't make this worse." "Noah, you're going to ruin everything." I stared at the screen until the words stopped looking like language and started looking like evidence. Marin didn't offer comfort. She offered a next step. "We file," she said. "Officially, today." "Against my family?" I asked, and my voice cracked on the word family. Marin's gaze was steady. "Against whoever used your identity." That sentence did something to me. It separated the lie from the fact. That evening, my parents' messages switched costumes. Anger softened into concern, threats into worry. "Are you safe? Come home. Let's talk like adults." I didn't answer. Silence is the one boundary they can't interrupt. Within 48 hours, the story of my life changed. Quietly, on paper, in systems that don't care who raised you. The fraud hold flagged the old liability. The lender opened an internal inquiry. The trust file, my grandma's file, was forwarded to investigators. Not because I begged, because Elena had built the case before I even knew I needed one. A week later, Marin called me with a voice that was calm, in the way doctors sound before delivering a diagnosis. They attempted another refinance, she said. It bounced. It was logged. Who? I asked, even though I already knew. Your brother, she said, and your father as a co-signer. I closed my eyes. The betrayal wasn't the shouting. It wasn't the trash bag. It was the assumption that my identity belonged to them, even when I wasn't welcome at the table. I moved into a new apartment a month later, nothing glamorous, just clean and mine. I blocked numbers. I built distance. The quiet felt strange at first, like withdrawal. The first time I bought groceries after the freeze, I cried in the cereal aisle. Not because I was rich, I wasn't. Because no one was watching my cart, no one was counting what they could take. I chose what I liked, I paid. I walked out into the sunlight and realized freedom can be embarrassingly ordinary. And that was the point. News travels fast in small circles. My mother called relatives to paint me as unstable. It backfired when she had to explain why I'd been sleeping in my car on Easter, why her emotional daughter had been left with nowhere to go. My father showed up once at my new building and stood outside like he owned the sidewalk, leaving a voicemail that sounded almost human. We can work this out. I deleted it. Noah sent one last message. Just tell them it was a mistake. Then went silent when he realized there was no crack left to pry open. The consequence wasn't that they suddenly became better people. The consequence was simpler. They lost access. And without access, their love stopped arriving. On the first Sunday after everything, I drove out to the cemetery where Elena is buried. I didn't bring flowers. I brought the card. I sat on the curb like a kid again and held it in my palm until it warmed. You didn't leave me money, I whispered. You left me a case. The wind moved through the dry grass. I thought about her hands, small, steady, pressing the card into mine like she was giving me permission to survive. My mother's line was meant to shrink me. My grandma turned it into a key. If love only shows up when you're useful, it isn't love. It's a contract. And walking away isn't failure. Sometimes it's the first thing you do entirely on your own.